500 years of printing history have led to today's dominant technology, offset printing. But society is changing at computer speeds. Digital media is rapidly replacing many traditionally printed products. What does all of this mean for the future of printing?
What does all of this mean for the future of printing and for your future? Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Benny Landa, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here this afternoon. Many of us have... Many of us have met at previous Drupas, perhaps in 2000 or in 1995, or maybe even at IPEX in 1993, when, as the founder of Indigo, I had the privilege of unveiling the world's first digital offset color printing press. And what can I tell you? It is great to be back. If you were at any of those previous events, you may well have heard me say that anything that can become digital will become digital, and printing is no exception. So, has printing become digital? Well, certainly many printed goods have become digital. For example, photo albums, short-run label printing, transactional printing, all digital. In fact, since we launched it in 1993, digital printing has exploded, producing today 1 trillion pages of digitally printed goods. That, however, has barely nibbled around the edges of mainstream printing, which produces 50 trillion pages a year. So how small is a nanometer? It's almost impossible to imagine. So I am going to help you imagine how small a nanometer is. You see this golf ball? If it were 1 nanometer in diameter, a single human hair would be 4.2 kilometers in diameter, 3 times the diameter of the entire Drupa missing. Now, nanotechnology has really captured the imaginations of society. And the reason is that when you reduce things down to nano size, often their properties change dramatically. For example, if you make metals into nanoparticles, their melting temperature goes down. Other materials as nanoparticles become extremely tough, abrasion-resistant coatings. And yet other materials as nanoparticles become readily absorbed in the bloodstream, opening up avenues to new methods of drug delivery. Pardon me. And what we at Landa have discovered these last 10 years is that if you make pigments into nanopigments, they also acquire extraordinary attributes. For example, they become extremely powerful and efficient absorbers of light. And that is why nanopigments are at the heart of Landa Nano Ink, and Nano Ink is at the heart of nanography. Now, what makes nanography so special? Well, it has extraordinary, almost unbelievable characteristics. For example, very high speed printing, the broadest color gamut of any printing process, high optical density, the sharpest dots of any printing process, high gloss and gloss uniformity, the ability to print on any kind of coated or uncoated paper without any kind of treatment, as well as on any kind of plastic packaging film, producing tough, abrasion-resistant images that have the lowest cost per page of any digital printing process, the smallest footprint, low energy consumption, and the one property that I am most proud of, 100% green. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to to give you more insights into nanography, I welcome you to join me in the wonderful world of nano.
Hi there. Here we are, down in the depths of a sheet of paper, waiting to be digitally printed by inkjet. Though we are sheltered by all these paper fibers around us, they'll be of little protection. For when the dreaded drop hits, it will be like a tsunami, a tidal wave torrent that will drench the paper fibers and will mercilessly drown any nano folks like us. So we'd better get out of here. You see, when printing processes apply ink to paper, the wet ink penetrates the paper. Now this is true for all printing processes. In the case of inkjet, however, there's so much water in the ink that the paper becomes totally saturated. But paper and water don't mix. Paper gets swollen, deformed, and cockled. The consequence of all that is that you have to heat up all that water and paper to dry it out again. And that consumes a tremendous amount of energy.
So now that we've shared some insights with you as to how inkjet printing works, let us show you how Landa nanographic printing works. Nanographic printing begins with the ejection of billions of microscopic droplets of Landa nano ink onto the special image conveyor blanket. Each row of ink ejectors adds its own color of nano ink. Each droplet of nano ink lands at a precisely designated location, blending with other droplets to create the final colored ink image. As each droplet lands on the heated blanket, it begins to spread and lose its water, becoming thinner as it does so. When all of the water has been evaporated, the ink becomes an ultra-thin, dry polymeric film. Let's look again. As the nano ink film spreads and dries, it becomes only 500 nanometers thick, the thinnest ink image of any printing process. The completed image is now ready to be transferred. Because of its unique properties, nano ink images have the amazing ability to bond tenaciously to any paper or plastic without penetrating the substrate. Upon transfer, the nano ink film instantaneously bonds to the paper, forming a tough, abrasion-resistant laminated layer, leaving no residual ink on the blanket. Nano ink images can be transferred to sheets or webs of ordinary coated or uncoated paper or plastic packaging films without any kind of pretreatment. Since nano ink images are already dry, There's no need for any kind of post-drying, so two-sided printing becomes simple, and printed goods can be immediately processed right out of the press. So now that you see how nanographic printing works, I'm sure you're curious about the printed page. What does it look like? So we have taken the offset printed dots with which you are all so familiar and compared them to inkjet printed dots and compared them to nanographically printed drops. Just watch this. Offset printed dots have poorly defined edges and non-uniform density. Inkjet printed dots are even more ragged with poor optical density. And this is nanography. Note the extraordinary edge sharpness, high image density, and uniformity. Such a startling effect deserves a more in-depth explanation. You see, as the ink penetrates the paper, much of the pigment ends up below the surface, reducing optical density and uniformity. And just as ink gets absorbed into the paper fibers, it also wicks along the paper fibers, making the edges ragged. With Landa nanographic printing, a dry ink film is applied to the paper, so there's no penetration and the edges are super sharp. Since these ultra-thin film images are literally laminated to the paper, they conform to its surface roughness right down to the topography of individual paper fibers. This accounts for nanography's extraordinary ability to match the gloss of the paper, whether coated or uncoated. Unlike conventional inks, in which the pigment particles are many hundreds of nanometers in size, Landa nano ink pigments are merely a few tens of nanometers. These nanopigments are not only super efficient absorbers of light, but they also don't scatter light. These properties give Landa nanographic printing the broadest CMYK color gamut of any printing process. So what we have seen so far is that the thickness of the ink image dramatically affects the properties of the printed page. And thinner is better. The thinner is also better for cost, because the thinner the image, the less material it takes to produce it, and the less it costs to print. What you see here are comparative thicknesses of various printing processes, helping you understand why Landa nano ink printed pages can cost a lot less than other digital printing processes. Now, many have said to me, why did you develop nano ink based on water and not, let's say, solvent or UV? And the answer is very simple. Even if our customers could afford them, our planet cannot. Nano ink is based on pure, clean water, environmentally friendly, plentiful, and cheap. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for me to give you a brief introduction into the full lineup of Landa nanographic printing presses. The Landa nanographic press lineup comprises 3 sheet-fed presses and 3 web presses, spanning the entire range of commercial printing, packaging, and publishing applications. presses, I invite you to join one of the demo tours that take place in the arcade and just in front of the theater between each of our theater presentations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the stars of our show, the Landa S7 nanographic printing press and the Landa W50 nanographic printing press. And to show you some of the amazing features of these presses, it is my privilege to introduce you to an old friend, Robin Walton, who's done many Drupas with me before. Robin, welcome back. And Robin will be assisted by Shai and Ilan. And I will be back.
Thank you, Benny. Definitely he'll be back. Let's start with an inside view of the Landa S7 nanographic printing press, our B2 8-color perfector, capable of printing at up to 12,000 sheets an hour. Nanographic printing presses have two things in common. They all come in 4 to 8 color capability, and they all employ the most amazing, user-friendly touchscreens. Smaller may be better when it comes to particle size, but when it comes to touchscreens, bigger is definitely better. This 3-meter-long interactive display with its intuitive man-machine interface enables even an untrained operator to quickly become a master. The machine controls here on the right and the left end of the press allow the operator to run the press from either the feeder or the delivery end of the press. The right-hand section is dedicated to job management. Here the operator can conveniently organize the job queue, aided by built-in management tools, which, for example, could suggest the optimum sequences for maximum press utilization. And on the left side of the monitor are all of the machine functions. The live interactive graphics display the real-time status of every function in the press. And there are cameras in the press that also feed out to the display, showing real-time what's happening in the feeder, the image transfer area, and the delivery of the press. Every function, such as ink supply, paper supply, and operational status, are displayed in clear and intuitively comprehensible graphics. And to round things off, here is the incredible Landa W50 nanographic printing press for direct mail, trans-promo, and publishing applications, capable of printing at the speeds of up to 200 meters per minute. Wow. And let's talk about productivity. These presses are an owner's and an operator's dream machines. Due to the high degree of automation, a single operator can manage 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 presses at a time. And Shai's got the W50 going right now. And if he steps away from this press to manage one of the other presses, the press knows and automatically switches itself into vital signs mode, allowing the operator to see the important aspects of the press from up to 40 meters away while he's attending to other duties. He can even control the press and monitor the press from his remote touchpad. Thank you, Shai. And Elon's got a sheet here he's going to mount on the display magnetically and use his digital wireless loop to examine, record, analyze, and compare the results. Landa Nano Ink is provided as a concentrate in 15-kilogram containers that are easily replaceable by the operator and automatically diluted to working concentration using the customer's own tap water, thereby saving valuable resources by not shipping water all around the globe. Empty containers of Landa Nano Ink occupy minimum volume and can be recycled along with your beverage bottles. And when it comes to service, there's never been a press with easier operator access. At the back end of the presses are tool drawers, so that he has hands on everything he needs to run the press. And as you can see here, at the touch of a button, the display slides up and gives the operator complete access to the entire paper bath for any kind of jam removal or adjustments. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to reintroduce the architect of the first digital printing revolution in 1993 and the second digital printing revolution right now here at Drupa, Mr. Benny Landa.
Thank you, Robin. Great job. Great job. Thank you. So, I again ask you, what does all of this mean for the future of printing? And what does this mean for your future? Well, if you are in packaging printing, your future seems pretty secure. For so long as mankind consumes food, it will continue to to be offered in wrapped, beautifully printed packaging. But what about the rest of us? What about commercial printing? What is its future like? I want to ask you something. What do you produce as a commercial printer? You produce brochures, flyers, sell sheets, magazines, newspapers, mailers. You produce graphic communication. One person communicating with another graphically. Does anyone in this room seriously think that 200 years from now, man will be communicating by smearing pigments onto crushed trees? No, I thought so. The question everybody is asking themselves is, how long will it be before digital media replaces printed media? My answer is, it's the other 98%. That's what you have to go after. And where is that? You already have it. It's already in your shop. Problem is, you can't make money from it. And the reason is, you all print with offset.